Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. Many government agencies and private businesses have diversity statements, but my guest today will tell you that this college practices what it preaches when it comes to diversity. They are Jipaum Askew-Robinson, who is the chair of the Campus Diversity Committee. Welcome.
Thank you.
Leslie Page, an instructor of psychology. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Amberly Douglas, a student, and welcome to you.
Thank you.
Tell us, to begin with, a little bit about the Diversity Committee.
Well, the Diversity Committee has been here since I've been here in 2006. It's comprised of a student, so that we always have student representation. It also comprises of faculty and staff. And what we always want to do is have differing perspectives to make sure that as the campus grows that we always have diverse programs. They put on programs, as well as making sure that then we take a look at curriculum and see where maybe we can infuse diversity within curriculum, which is something that our divisions, our academic divisions do naturally, but then we always want to make sure that then we can maybe put programs that will support those types of initiatives.
One of the newest organizations on campus under the umbrella of the Diversity Committee is PFLAG, Parents, Families, Friends, and Allies United with LGBT People. That's pretty amazing, considering the fact that when I was a young person, which was a long time ago, homosexual acts were illegal in many countries, including the United States. What amazes me too is even just in the past few years, attitudes have changed tremendously. Tell us about the program. I believe you're the president, aren't you?
No, I'm just, right now I'm the supporter.
Just a supporter, okay, I'm sorry, beg your pardon.
Okay.
That would be, the president would be
Chelsea Rollins.
Chelsea Rollins.
Yes.
So, well, my apologies to Chelsea. I didn't mean to usurp your power. We have a rank and file member. Tell us about the club and how you got involved in it.
Actually, Jipaum and I had spoke about it last year at the diversity conference in Richmond, Illinois, or Richland, Illinois last year, about trying to be inclusive of gays and lesbians on campus and giving them somewhere that they could go and talk to people and be around people that were like-minded and supportive. And we discussed the best avenue to go down and looked into some organizations that were national, and we stumbled upon PFLAG, which is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, and decided that that was probably the best route to go so that people would not feel like it was a quote-unquote gay club, that it's people that are supportive of gay people, lesbians, transgender, anybody that feels a little bit out of place should feel at home with this club. So we discussed it, did our online research, and came up with PFLAG.
There are chapters in Lexington, Louisville, Owensboro, and Bowling Green, so Paducah would make 5 in this area.
Yes.
Professor Page, how did you get involved in this?
Well, I was also at that same diversity conference last summer, and it's just always been an important issue to me, just having friends and family members who are gay. And watching what they go through, it's been important to me to be supportive and to make people feel welcome, especially on this campus. One of the things that we did at that conference is we watched their theater troupe. They performed the Laramie Project. And I remember when that happened with Matthew Shepard and he was murdered in Laramie, Wyoming. I was in college at the time, and I was really affected by all that. Even not being a gay person, it really bothered me, and so I've always wanted to get involved somehow and make people feel welcome and included.
You know, I think that there was a base here on this campus for this. Back many, many years ago when I was young, we had a newspaper here called The Signal. And a student on the staff wanted to do a survey on campus attitudes toward gays. And she did the survey, very well done. In fact, she won a writing prize for the Kentucky Intercollegiate Press Association. And at that time, this would have been about 1992 or 3, 66% of the students here just had no problem with it at all. And I thought that was amazing, considering this is the Bible Belt. Some say the buckle on the Bible Belt. Does that number surprise you all, that even that far back?
Not for me, because the whole premise behind college is exposure. And what you'll find is that's just like back in the days pre-civil rights. African Americans were thought to be, less human, all sorts of, preconceived ideas. But once you get an opportunity to go to school with, to live next door to get to know individuals, then some of the fallacies that you're taught at home behind closed doors, those types of things go away. And people, as people become more educated, then you find that a lot of things that you were taught were just wrong. So no, it really doesn't surprise me, and actually I'm very happy about it, that it, that far back, that someone was able to document that.
What's interesting too is young people. I have a 19-year-old son who's at Murray State, and kids his age, that's just not an issue. Whereas, again, it was against the law in the United States, in Great Britain, in the Soviet Union. I know Americans don't like to be compared to the Soviets in any way, but yet there were anti-homosexual laws in the Soviet Union as well. It's a cultural. Explain the background of that culture. Why is it that this has been such a taboo subject for so long?
We fear
in
what
Western
we
culture?
don't understand. I mean, that's where, that's kind of what Jipaum was saying. Lack of exposure to people who are different from us. It's just ignorance. It's just not knowing, not being around those people. And we tend to focus on these, to me, it's just arbitrary. We focus on someone's sexual orientation as being, just that's all encompassing, that, they're gay, that's all they are. We tend to do that too much. They are black, that's all they are. People are more complicated than that. But I think it just comes down to ignorance.
Now, being the panel psychologist, I want to ask you a question. I'm a historian. I took one psychology class at Murray State in 1967, so I'm completely unqualified to talk on this topic. But it seems to me that people who are so anti-gay, is it possible that maybe deep down inside they fear that they are gay, or they really are and trying to hide it?
Not every time.
No, I didn't mean every time. I said, is it possible?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. A lot of the time we've seen that happen. That
Well, there's a website, and I can't think of the name of it, and it's called the Top 10 Politicians Who Are Homophobic and Turned Out to Be Gay Themselves. And I think it's last I looked, it had gone up to 15. So you see that it's this self-loathing, this self-hate thing.
It's actually a defense mechanism that Freud talked about called reaction formation. You take the thing that you hate most about yourself, and you deny it, and you project it onto other people and talk about, it's not me, it's him. He's the one that feels that way. And then you kind of bash that person. So yeah, it's common for people to do that.
Amberly, you're from Paducah.
Yes.
Grew up here.
Yes.
And you're gay.
Yes.
Growing up in Paducah as a kid, let me ask you this. When did you realize you were gay?
Truthfully, kindergarten. I thought a girl was cute in the class. It's not that it wasn't anything sexual at that point, but I knew that it was a little bit odd. I really discovered it, I would say, at 13. I knew. I denied it. I didn't come out of the closet until I was 16. And my mom kind of pushed me out of the closet, which was the best thing that she did for me. But I was fortunate enough to have a supportive family that did support me, and friends that supported me, because it's a very hard thing to come out at any point in life. It doesn't matter how old you are. In a lot of ways, it's easier to come out as a teenager because then people, that's what they know you as. They don't, if you come out at 40, they think that you've had this secret hidden your whole life. So I think that in today's society that more teenagers are more comfortable with it because they have friends that have come out and that aren't trying to hide it. And whenever I came out, there wasn't, people just didn't do that. I went to Marshall County and it was a little taboo. It still probably would be somewhat in Marshall County.
Well, did some of your friends turn against you because of this?
Not really, not really. I think that some of them had a little bit of paranoia that I think that it actually, instead of them being so paranoid that I might like them or I might hit on them, was more me being paranoid about them thinking that than really what they were projecting to me. So I always made it a point to, like in the locker room, I would never look at anybody to make them uncomfortable. And so I've really structured my life around making sure that, that other people don't feel uncomfortable around me. So.
I think that the fact that your parents supported you, that's not often the case, is it?
No.
And we had talked before about the very high rate of suicide among gay young people. That's difficult to think about. That. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, you've got some statistics on that.
Well, nationwide, the rate of suicide attempts in all adolescents is 1 in 10, which is bad enough. But in gay teenagers, it's 3 in 10. So 3 gay teenagers out of 10 will attempt suicide. And I would venture to guess that in areas like this, in your more rural areas, that number is even higher.
That's the thing, being a geezer that I am. You think of teenage suicide, and I can think of a handful of teens that I've known. I don't know that gay had anything to do with it, but just the fact that a teenager, when your life is ahead of you, to be so desperate and so despondent that you kill yourself because your life is, it's such a tragedy, the whole idea of this. What programs we have the club, it's organized, getting chartered. What programs do we have in the offing to broaden this to the public or the campus?
Well, actually, the club is going to sponsor a professional development that's going to also invite the community that will talk about acceptance. We'll talk about acceptance of alternative lifestyles and sexual orientation from family members to co-workers to, those are some of the major issues that especially teenagers, but anyone in that position faces, is that to make sure that we can maybe build some sort of a support network to let them know that we're here. Then also we have we're developing something to let students know that advisors are on campus so that advisors are more visible. And recently we had a young lady named Erin Davies come in, and it was called Fagbug, wherein she comes from New York, and someone had spray painted fag and some other derogatory statements on her car. And upon hearing that, Volkswagen and a lot of other people within that community actually sponsored her, had the car painted, is absolutely gorgeous, rainbow colors. And so she's actually turned it into, I always like to call them teachable moments. And so that's something that we're going to do very much so with PFLAG on campus, is that we're going to make sure that we have a lot of teachable moments on campus of talking about acceptance.
Oh, I was there for her program, and it was interesting. It was in the student center, and it was about the time, it was around lunchtime, if memory serves, and a lot of students were in there who didn't come to hear her, and I was wondering what the reactions would be, but it was positive. There were kids who were just having a sandwich, and they kind of moseyed over to listen, and I thought that was really
quite a few of them jumped into the picture, and they're like, oh, I want to,
And then at the end, she said, do you want your picture made with my car? And she was actually selling little models of it, and some people bought those. again, being 63 years old, it's astonishing. I grew up in the last vestiges of Jim Crow, segregation. And to see how much Paducah and Mayfield have changed, and I think this is part of that change. Society it's amazing to sit back and watch. We've got a long way to go in civil rights and in toleration across the board, but it's just it's astonishing to think. And you go back, you know, when the military, you could be discharged from the military for doing that. There were gay soldiers all along.
Yes.
But it's an astonishing thing. And again, any ideas, it seems to me, and I watched this on television, these surveys of public attitudes, it's just been the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's just taken off. Any feeling as to why that is so?
I think that a lot of it has to do with the don't ask, don't tell policy. I actually had dated a girl that was in the military, and it was, you know, before that time, and it was very difficult to have a relationship with somebody that nobody can know you had. I mean, nobody, absolutely. It would have cost her entire career. And I think that the pressure put on our military, it wasn't right, it wasn't fair. It actually destroyed our relationship because, you know, she had feelings that she couldn't cope with. And I think that, and since we broke up and it's more accepted in the military now, I think that the idea that the military holds certain values that the culture surrounds themselves with, that if the military says it's okay, then it's okay for a lot of people that
interesting.
Have viewed it negatively.
Speak up. I don't want to do all the talking now.
I don't know. I think with a lot of the new legislations that's being discussed and being passed, I think that's why people are talking about it more too. And to tag on to what she just said,
I think also from my perspective of being a diversity director, or someone who's just always been a huge proponent of diversity throughout my entire life, what you see is that, even because it's very similar to the African American experience, is that if someone, because I helped to integrate a school in Atlanta, and there were people that, you know, one young lady came to me as she was leaving, and I never forget, her first name is Didra, and she was, you know, the typical blonde, blue eyes, and she said, Jipaum, I just want to let you know I won't be back next year. And we had just been friends and had a great time. And I was in 7th grade, and I said, well, why? And she said, well, my mom and dad said it's just too many black people coming into the school now. We pay a lot of money to go to the school. They probably
didn't say black people.
Well, they probably didn't, but we're going to say that today. And actually, what I came to experience quite a bit, and a lot of African Americans came to experience, is that, but you're different. It's like, no. I'm not different. I'm like a lot of African Americans or a lot of black people. I'm not that different. But I think that what has happened is that there's a lot of people that are experiencing individuals in their families that they love, they've come to know as friends, family members, neighbors, even churchgoers, and they're, oh, you're gay? Yeah, yes, I'm gay. And so then they begin to see, well, they're not necessarily different, and then why would I not love this person? Why would this person have to suffer and not have the same civil rights that I have? And so what you're finding is that for society, we're beginning to understand the same as we did for African Americans, is that they're people. And for goodness sakes, especially if you're going to be someone from the religious perspective, God is love. How do you not love, and how do you not allow that same person to have the exact same civil rights that you have? And I think that's the awareness that you're finding. And so as people are seeing this, and then not only do I have 1 or 2 people that I know that are gay, so does Leslie, then, you know, Amber Lee has some friends, and so, you know, that circumference of friends, and it just keeps growing, and you start thinking, hey, this is pretty normal.
You know, too, it just struck me as well, going back to my youth of many years ago, Leave It to Beaver. Andy Griffith. Everyone was white.
Yes.
And then you begin to see African American faces, and then you see that program Will and Grace, which was quite revolutionary. That's quite an amazing step. And,
Yes.
and then now, oh, Will and Grace, yeah, it was a TV show.
Ellen. Yeah.
Ellen,
Yes,
exactly.
love Ellen. Everybody loves Ellen.
That's amazing how things have changed. And I just sit back and marvel at it, being a 63-year-old Kentuckian. What else? I think we had talked earlier about maybe doing some kind of a public program, bringing in people from the community just to talk about it. And
Yes,
discuss it.
that's the program that we're planning for April. We're still in the process of planning that, but we're thinking about bringing in individuals. We have faculty members that have relatives that are gay. We have we're going to bring in someone that's going to talk from a perspective of a father. You know, what do you do if your child is gay, and how do you come to grips, especially if you're from a man of cloth, a man from theology. He is a pastor. You know, what do you do? Oh my goodness, this goes against every teaching that that you're bringing from your being, and then yet still you're finding out that I have love for this person. This is a real person. This is this is not a mistake. If God is in control of nature, and He makes nature, this cannot be a mistake. This is His plan. This is not something that's wrong. So, we're bringing in individuals, and then of course Leslie's going to be there from a psychology perspective, and we're going to have individuals that are there who are experiencing it personally. So you'll see a lot of different perspectives coming together, and it'll be a forum for us to sit down and have conversations. And that's the first place that you make changes and to bring about exposure and experiences, is to have conversations and to have personal connectivity. So that's what the club
I think
is
that's
planning.
one of the most wonderful things that college universities do. Right, we've had some really good ones here, and we certainly appreciate the administration supporting me on
Yes,
some great topics.
Yes.
We had a debate on the Iraq War, lots of things, and that's certainly what makes college fun.
Yes.
Well, we'll ask our scientist here. You hear people say that being gay is a choice. Then you say, well, you're born that way. What is the current research on that?
Well, we do have research showing that the hypothalamus, which is a part of the brain that governs your sleep, your hunger drive, your thirst drive, your sex drive, the hypothalamus in gay men is a different size. I can't remember now if it's larger or smaller, but it's a significantly different size in gay men as it is in straight men. We don't have anything similar on women. We don't have research on women, but we do have that on men to say that hypothalamus is a different size. So, I mean, the science is there.
The other issue, bisexual.
Well, that's another thing. That's an area that's changing, because I remember a time when I could not quite wrap my mind around that. And a lot of people feel that way. Okay, I get it. You're either gay or straight. How can you be in the middle? I think that sexual orientation, much like gender, is on a continuum. I think, we have people that are strictly female, very feminine, and then you have strictly masculine male, and then you have people that are kind of in the middle. And I think that sexual orientation is pretty much the same.
That's interesting, yeah. Go ahead, you were about to say something?
No, I was going to say I think so too. I think that people are given a false perception of bisexuals as being greedy and wanting both, and that it's a negative thing. But I think that some people truly love the person, and it's not about their sex, it's about who that person is, and it's given people that are bisexual a bad name. I think that it's more common for in the younger ages, 18, 19 years old, for it to be curiosity, and a lot of girls and guys will play out this curiosity. It doesn't necessarily mean they're gay or even straight, they just don't know. And they're trying to figure that out, I think.
And it is possible, I think, for some people to experiment and it just be a phase.
Right.
It be a college thing.
Right.
And I don't think those people were ever gay.
Yeah, there was, what was a television program about that? It might have been a Seinfeld, where they were talking about their gay phase in college or something.
Yeah.
I remember. So, yeah, yeah. So it's not cut and dried. It's just not.
Nothing with humans is.
No.
That's true. Humans are fascinating creatures, for sure. What else in the time we have? We're running out of time. One thing we could do is if someone in the community was interested in PFLAG, what's the contact information?
Well, I would ask them to call the Office of Cultural Diversity here on campus.
And the number
The number is 534-3420, and or they can email me at j.askew-gibson at 0001@kctcs.edu, and we'll be glad to get them as much information as possible.
Is the club open to the community, not just students?
Well, that's a good question, Barry. I'm not really sure. I know that all of our events definitely are open, and we want to partner with the community on some things. I don't know what the KCTCS rules and regulations are on that.
But
so
if
that's a good
someone wanted to
question.
show up just to visit,
Sure.
surely that would be okay.
Oh, definitely so. Yes.
Any final words from the psychologist?
No.
I don't like those kind of questions.
I don't like those kind of questions.
I mean, well put, touche. Student gets the last word.
I just want everybody out there to know that there are people here at WKCTC who are supportive of you. And if you just need to talk to somebody, you can contact any of us on this panel, Barry, Jipaum, Leslie, or I. You can find us in the directory, go to the homepage, and just search our name, look up Barry's notebook, and our names will be there. So just want everybody to know you do have a friend out there if you need one.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Barry Craig. My guests today were Jipaum Askew-Gibson, Leslie Page, and Amberly Douglas. We'll see you next time.